Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another episode of Dear Nero. It has been quite a while since we've done an episode of this series. The series itself actually turned 9 years old this past summer. It was a weekly series I used to do here on the channel where every single Wednesday I would take questions from my viewers and then answer them in a video. Pretty simple Q&A series, but it was something that I did for a very long time and then kind of just stopped doing eventually, and I figured it would be fun to bring it back as a permanent staple series here on the channel. If I think back to like the time when YouTube was like super fun and things were going really well, I remember I had lots of very consistent uploads that people could expect, right? Every Wednesday was Dear Nero. Depending on the year, it would be every Monday was Moab Monday, every Friday was Moab Friday, every Saturday was either Chemstrike Saturday or DNA Saturday. We had like these very consistent series every single week along with my normal uploads, and I want to go back to that. So we're bringing back Dear Nero here. I also think it's going to be a good series to kind of help me stay accountable, almost talk about my life, talk about my week, and especially after the recent videos with the rock bottom thing and everything, I figured it'd be good to bring back Dear Nero and just have this discussion with you guys, answer questions, and just have a good old time. So it's typically going to be a much longer video than normal, so sit back, relax, enjoy, grab yourself a snack, grab a drink, put it on in the background while you on your other monitor while you play some games, do whatever it is you want to do. But just to quickly update on the rock bottom video, so how things been going. It's been over a week. It's been almost 10 days. I've been sober the entire time, which is fantastic. Haven't even really felt the desire to drink, which is also fantastic. Life is definitely on the upswing. So many of the problems I perceived in my life were so directly tied to alcohol. It's actually kind of ridiculous. Like, for example, the anxiety levels I would have every single day. Every day I was anxious. Every day I felt, you guys ever heard about hiatal hernia? Hiatal hernia, I think is how you pronounce it. It's when like your stomach kind of like goes up into your chest through your diaphragm a little bit. I had that. And I think I technically still do. I don't think it just goes away that quickly. But I got that, I think, from drinking so much because I was putting on weight only in my stomach. Like, you ever hear like a beer gut and stuff? I was kind of getting that because I was drinking like when I quit liquor, I like was doing like 8 to 10 to 12 beers every single night. So I'm drinking like roughly 1,000 calories of beer every single night. So I'm putting on a bunch of weight, mostly only in my stomach, which is very unhealthy. And the hiatal hernia thing was like acting up. And every day I had like, if you haven't had a hiatal hernia, it's almost like you're having a heart attack. Like, the symptoms are very similar to that of a heart attack. In fact, this past summer, excuse me, I was driving down to a family reunion, which is like, call it like 45 minutes away, right? And halfway there, I'm like, oh no, I don't feel right. Like, this is horrible. And the entire way there, I'm thinking I'm having a heart attack. Like, I'm feeling short of breath. I'm feeling clammy. I'm feeling like random twinges in my arms and stuff. I'm feeling just horrible in general. And the entire time, I'm like, I'm just driving further and further away from a hospital. This is horrible. I need to do something about this. And I eventually make it to our family reunion, which is like a cabin in the middle of the woods. And I eventually get there and I get out and my mom's like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, I think I need to see a doctor. And so my stepdad, I get in his truck and we go to the hospital and I get the x-rays and the EKG and all that. And I've been to the ER so many times lately. And when I was there, they did x-rays and everything. They're like, no, your heart's fine, your lungs are fine, but it looks like you have the beginnings of like a hiatal hernia. And he explained what it was and how it worked and stuff like that and how the symptoms are very similar. And he's like, well, take fiber, do this, do that, cut back on drinking, eat smaller meals throughout the day. And so I started to do that, but never really worked all that much. And then I quit drinking and suddenly I barely have any of the symptoms of that really whatsoever, which is fantastic. I'm no longer, like, my anxiety has gone from like an 80 every day, like 80 out of 100, down to like a 10 out of 100 like every single day. I feel fantastic. I've replaced like alcohol with water, which I guess, for those of you who've ever quit smoking, right? People that quit smoking, they will like, they'll replace it with sometimes a vape, sometimes they'll do lozenges, sometimes they'll do the gum, sometimes if they go off nicotine entirely, they'll go to mints and stuff like that. Like, they need like that fix almost. For me, when quitting alcohol, quitting beer and liquor and vodka and all that stuff, I drink water. I pound down water like all day, every day. So I'm like super hydrated now, which also feels fantastic. So yeah, just in general, life is definitely on the upswing. It's only been a week. I'm not going to say like I'm cured or anything like that. I'm going to take it day by day, but things have been going very well. And I got a couple of questions regarding that. So I figured I would start things off by discussing that and giving you guys an update. But for now, let's jump into the actual questions of this week's episode of Dear Nero. Now that the update is through, I'll continue to update you guys every single week as we progress through this whole transition transformation in my life. But the first question is going to be coming in from PBZ Writer, who writes, Dear Nero, if you had to smush 2 CODs together, what 2 games would make the greatest combo for you? So before I answer, I would love for you guys to put your answers for that question down there in the comments, because I think it's actually very interesting. For me, if I could smush 2 games together, this is going to... I feel like there's a better combo, but the first thing that came into my mind would be World at War and Black Ops 1. Think about it. They're both in the same time frame. The years aren't ridiculously far apart. I mean, they kind of are, but not really. And they both fit together pretty well. Like, picture a game. They would have to, like, update it and modernize it. And by modernize it, I mean, like, add, you know, Prestige Master, add maybe Mastery camos and things like that, aside from Gold. That would be fantastic. But in general, World at War and Black Ops 1, I think, would be a very good mix. Like, imagine having some of the best World at War maps, the best Black Ops 1 maps, and then, you know, things like the Tommy gun and the Gewehr and the M1 Grand and the Springfield and the Mosin, then combining that with things like the AK-74U and the FAMAS and the M16 and, you know, all the great guns from Black Ops 1. Then, of course, the kill streaks from Black Ops 1 on the World at War maps. That would be interesting. So I think it would fit very well together thematically. Obviously, once again, I would want them to update it so there's like 100%er and a dark matter equivalent and things like that. But I think those 2 would be my personal choice. I would love to hear what you guys think down in the comment section below. This next question is going to be coming in from Shadow, who writes, Dear Nero, will you be playing the Battlefield 2042 beta next week, and will you make a review on it? So yes, I will be playing the beta. Will I do a review? I guess we'll see. It feels weird doing a Battlefield review as a not Battlefield YouTuber, so I feel like my perspective is not the same as like people that play Battlefield all the time. When I was super into Battlefield, it was when I was playing Battlefield Bad Company 2, Battlefield 3, and Battlefield 4. I played a little bit of Battlefield 1, I think it was. Didn't 1 come before 5? I hate why do game franchises have to make things confusing? Like, we go Battlefield 4, then Battlefield 1, then Battlefield 5. The same way Madden randomly had Madden 25 back in, like, 2018 or wherever it was. Like, it just... I don't know. Naming in games is always so confusing and so bad, but yeah, I haven't been super into Battlefield for a while, so it's going to be fun to get back into it, but at the same time, I've been kind of out of the game for a while, and I'm not sure how well a review from me would do, but I'm definitely going to play the game, and I'll probably do a video on it. This next one, it's not necessarily from one person, it's from a lot of people, so I just picked one at random. This is going to be from Raptor1, who asks, any thoughts on Halo Infinite? No, I actually don't have any thoughts on Halo Infinite. I signed up. It's a very complex like system to even try to like get access to their flights, as they call it, which is kind of like a beta. I don't know. I didn't get picked. You had to like sign up in this very convoluted way and wait for an email, and I never got an email. So I've seen some footage of it, but again, just like Battlefield, I don't know enough about Halo. The only Halo I ever really played was Reach, so I don't know enough about it to really like say one way or the other. I will say, however, I'm getting Halo Infinite when it comes out. I will get Battlefield 2042 when it comes out, and I'm excited for both games. I just don't know how much they're going to be showing up on my channel because, you know, to be 100% honest, guys, if you're a COD YouTuber and you post not COD, the videos tend to plummet, and then when your videos plummet, that hurts you in the algorithm. It takes a dying channel like mine and makes it even worse. You may think, oh dear, your channel's not dying. No, literally, you know how many subs I've gained this year? Like negative 1,000. Something like that. I'm not even getting subs anymore. But, you know, subs never really technically mattered. It's always been about the view count, but I digress. Let's continue on here. The next question is going to be coming in from Crad. This is a fun one. Who writes that, if you keep hearing that random noise, that's my dog yawning. And he has to make a big, high-pitched noise every time he yawns. No idea why. He always sits behind me, though. He's a Black Lab and Australian Shepherd mix. He is adorable, and his name is Jax. But, yeah, he always sits behind me, and I can't stop him from yawning. So, sorry if that spooked you guys. But the next question is coming in from Crad, who writes, Dear Nero, what was your worst wasted moment? Like, after waking up in the morning, you can't remember anything like in the Hangover movies. So obviously my worst moments were like actual terrible moments of like ruining my life and everything being horrible, but now we're on the upswing from that. So, you know, I can kind of look back at them and kind of laugh, I suppose. I mean, what else can you do? But an actual fun moment. Let's talk about an actual fun moment. Let's talk about the time my friends and I went to a strip club for the first time. My first and only time at a strip club. I was single at the time, and we all had the idea that like, hey, why don't we just go to the Pig Pen? And that's what we called the strip club that's around here. It's not the actual name. It has a reputation for being a pretty gross strip club with very gross strippers, and none of us have ever been before. So we go out there, and the idea is we're just gonna blend in. Like, you know, we're gonna go out there. It's like bring your own bottle or whatever. So we brought like a case of beer, and we're like, okay, we're just gonna play pool. We're gonna blend in. We're just gonna, you know, check out the strip club, and then probably head out, right? Well, we go out there on a Saturday night, and guess how many people are there? 2. There's 2 skeevy old guys in the strip club, aside from us, like 4, like 20-something-year-old guys. And it was weird. Like, we walk in, and you have to go through a security door, and you have to like, hand your money through a slit in the door, and it's just weird, right? And so we go in, and again, there's only 2 guys there. They're up at the stage, and they're getting all the attention from the 2 strippers. And 2 strippers are, it's just creepy, because it's like these guys are in like their 50s, and these are like 20, 30-year-old overweight strippers just rubbing their snatches on. It was just weird. It was weird. It's like, this is the only action these guys get, and they're loving it. And I don't know. And our goal of just, you know, playing pool and blending in doesn't work when we make up, you know, 4/5 or whatever the math would be on that of the entire area, right? There's 2 people that aren't us, and there's 4 of us. So obviously the strippers are all like, hey, come on up here. And we're like, no, we're all right. And then after like, you know, 10 minutes, we ended up leaving. It's not the most interesting story in the world, but it was pretty gross because, again, these strippers, right? These are not like, you know, Dallas strippers or New York strippers. What I imagine these strippers to be, right? The strippers in like small town, middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania, are like 4 out of 10 bar girls, overweight, C-section scars, flailing their titties around at you. And it's just gross. It was honestly disgusting, and that was the only time I ever went to a strip club, and so I figured that was like my wasted moment, because other than that, like, I was actually pretty calm, cool, and collected when it came to drinking. I was never the kind of person that would, you know, get into fights or get all rowdy or anything like that. Like, I was the guy that would just chill. I mean, I guess that's why I have like a lot of friends at bars and stuff, because I was the guy that would just chill. I could have a conversation with anybody, and I'm pretty good at holding conversations with anyone, regardless. Like, I don't even know their name. Like, I'll remember them, but I can't remember their name, and I'll be able to hold a conversation with them for an hour and talk about anything. And that's what I would do. That's why going to the bars was so I'm looking for a different word, but I guess addicting, back when I first started going out, because after all these years of just being, you know, chained to my desk, essentially just, you know, playing video games, doing YouTube, I really didn't have any much of a social life really whatsoever. And then I started going out, and then suddenly I have all these friends, because apparently the bar is set pretty low for like what counts as like being a decent human being out there in the real world. And so I would just sit there and just chat with people, and, you know, they enjoyed my company, and then I enjoyed going out because I enjoyed other people enjoying my company, and it kind of became a vicious cycle after that. But yeah, overall, that was probably my worst wasted moment. It was pretty disgusting, and if I could go back and not go there, I would. The next question is going to be coming in from Wings of Richie, who writes, Dear Nero, are you still a gold scrub in Overwatch? I'll have you know, Richie, I'm a platinum tank and a platinum healer. Still a pretty scrub level. I'm like a high silver, low gold DPS, though, because the reason why I really like care to play Overwatch ranked that much anymore is because I literally only have to play tank and healer. And I like tank and healer, but every now and then, you know, you want DPS, but you just can't, because the queue times are literally like 20 minutes long. Like, it's actually obscene. So yeah, whenever I do play ranked, and I do try to get ranked in every category every season just to get the competitive points, because I like getting the golden weapons. When I do that, I typically get platinum as a tank and platinum as a healer. But damage, it's usually like high silver, low gold. It's pretty embarrassing. The next question is going to be coming in from Courtney, who writes, Dear Nero, with October starting on Friday, what are your must-watch movies for spooky season? So we considered doing like a spooky movie every night in Discord for October. I don't know if we're going to be doing that, and maybe sharing that with like people on my live streams. I don't know. But the classics, for sure. For me, I love all the Friday the 13th movies. I suggest if you haven't seen them, you should watch the first one. And then if you get super into it, then maybe watch them in order. Or you can just go ahead and just watch them. You don't really have to watch any of the Friday the 13th necessarily in order. I would say my favorite one is Part 6. Actually, I have a Friday the 13th Part 6 tattoo. It's my favorite. Obviously, the Halloween movies. The new Halloween movie comes out this October, which will be sick. It was supposed to come out last October, but it... COVID. So that didn't actually happen. Nightmare on Elm Streets were obviously awesome. My favorite movie of all time would be The Shining. If you're looking for maybe not movies, I recommend all of Mike Flanagan's shows on Netflix. So The Haunting of Hill House, The Haunting of Bly Manor, and most recently he released a new series called Midnight Mass, which is very similar to The Haunting of Hill House and Bly Manor. It's not as... I'd say it's more of a slow burn. we finished the entire series. It's more of a slow burn. There's a lot more than what meets the eye in that show, which is true of all of Mike Flanagan stuff, and it's really good. I'd recommend it. It's not as good as Hill House or Bly Manor, I personally wouldn't say, but it's still very good, and so I definitely recommend checking that out. Other than that, I enjoy the Halloween versions of like TV shows as well, like all the Treehouse of Horrors for The Simpsons. If there's a Halloween episode of, anything, whether it's King of the Hill or shows I grew up with, things on Nickelodeon, like I like Spooky Season. It's fun. But the must-watch stuff, The Shining, the sequel to that, Dr. Sleep, which is also by Mike Flanagan, is very good. And yeah, all the classics, Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, stuff like that. And also every now and then it's fun to find kind of like a diamond in the rough kind of horror movie. Like when Blame Truth used to live stream on Twitch all the time, he would also live stream movies. And the one movie he streamed, actually a lot of them that he streamed were fantastic. There was one called It Follows, which was really good. And there's another one called Sleepaway Camp. Or maybe it's Camp Sleepaway. I might have it mixed up. Either way, Google it. That is a damn good movie. The sequels are more like spoof comedy horror movies, but the first one's like a full-on spooky movie, and it was also very good. So yeah, lots of them. That's my favorite movie genre. When it comes to TV shows, I don't really watch shows. I turn on King of the Hill every night when I fall asleep because that's like my comfort show. But when it comes to movies and stuff, I like spooky movies and then comedy movies. But I don't like, when it comes to horror movies, I don't enjoy Saw or Hostel or just over-the-top gore and torture and violence and like all that stuff. I like a spooky vibe. And that's what a lot of the Mike Flanagan stuff is. That is what a lot of the older like Friday the 13th are. Like The Shining, for example. This is not a spoiler. There's 2 total people that die in the entire Shining movie. And it's it's considered one of the greatest horror movies of all time. And it's not because of over-the-top gore or torture or violence or anything like that. It's because it's psychological, it's a thriller, it's spooky, and that's why it's fun. The next question is going to be coming in from Kaizo, who writes, Dear Nero, what is your preferred period of time for the Call of Duty series, whether it be near or far, future, or somewhere in the past? So for me, it's anywhere from World War II up to, like, Cold War / Vietnam. And that's kind of crazy because Black Ops Cold War is not exactly my cup of tea, but that's mostly because developers kind of abandoned it halfway through. And it left a kind of a sour taste in my mouth. Now it's at the point where the game's life cycle is pretty much over, and they still haven't addressed a lot of the issues that I've been talking about since the alpha. And yeah, so Cold War should have been my favorite COD of all time. Unfortunately, it's not. It's a fun game. I enjoy it, but it just isn't my favorite. But yeah, World War II is a fun setting. Wildcat was actually talking the other day to me. Well, I guess all of us in Discord, and he was like, the reason why he's not super stoked for Vanguard is because he's using the same guns that he's used before, and they work the exact same way as they did before. And I kind of get that. Like, things like the STG, the MP40, and the Tommy gun, and so on and so forth. They're going to perform in this game pretty similarly to how they did back in World War II and back during World at War and all the other World War II games that have come out. And I guess I get that, but to me, there's a certain comfort level when it comes to that. I like the World War II guns. I love the Mosin Nagant. I like the Springfield and the STG, and maybe not the STG because it was busted, and the MP40, which was busted during the alpha, or the beta rather. But you know what I mean. Like there's a comfort level with those guns, and hopefully they have a number of guns like they did back in Call of Duty World War II that are different enough, because they released a bunch of guns in that game that I'd never heard of, like the NZ41 or the Volkssturmgewehr, and stuff like that, which were also in the beta. So yeah, I think it'll be fun messing around with those guns, and it's also my preferred time period, and so hopefully Vanguard will be good this year. I should probably I don't know, it's hard to do a review on a beta that I barely played because I was drunk and raging. I don't know. Next question is going to be coming in from Tyler the Psycho, great name, who writes, Dear Nero, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is releasing in March 2022, and I was wondering, like with Borderlands 3, will you do a walkthrough of the game on your second channel? I'd also like to say thank you for bringing back Dear Nero. Well, thank you, Tyler. It's good to have Dear Nero be back. Will I do a Let's Play of Tiny Tina's Wonderlands? I am undecided, and it's not because I'm not going to play the game. I am totally going to play the game, and I am stoked for the game. In fact, I'm going to do a melee character. It's going to be an orc. I think it's going to be cool as shit, because you can actually do that in that game. I just don't know if it's going to be better to live stream the game or if it would be better to do a proper like Let's Play, because I enjoy streaming, but Let's Plays, like I don't want to be that person that just re-uploads live streams. I feel like that's like bottom tier content. I'd rather do a Let's Play, but I also like to stream. I just don't know. So I have until March to figure it out, but I will be playing the game, and I'll be doing some sort of a series on it. I just don't know if I'm going to stream it or if I'm going to do videos on it on my second channel. I guess we'll see. The next question is going to be coming in from Swizz, who writes, Dear Nero, have you ever considered going back and doing playthroughs of older games you used to do on Nier Cinema 2? Loved your Fallout 4 survival series. Love the vids and keep up the good work. Well, thank you, Swizz, for the very kind words. I'm happy that you enjoyed the Fallout 4 series. It was fun to play through. I started another playthrough like off camera, if that's still a term, just playing for fun. I sided with the Minutemen. I heavily modded the game, and basically I was just like spending my time like rebuilding settlements and stuff like that. It's been kind of fun, but I've reached a point in the game where I can't continue the Minutemen story because I've beaten the game with the Brotherhood. I've beaten the game with the Institute, which was part of that series. I never beat the game with the Minutemen or the Railroad, so I'm like, okay, well, I'll do this one with the Minutemen. I can't continue the story with the Minutemen until I become hostile to the Institute, and I'm like, I just don't... Like, the fun of the character that I'm playing is that you kind of, like, roleplay in your head, like, I'm not playing as, you know, Sean's dad. I'm playing as me, essentially, or whoever character it is I make up in my head and I want to play as. That's the whole point of an RPG game, right? And the character that I've like kind of made for myself is not a character that wants anything to do with, you know, the Institute or learning about like the main story or anything like that. I just want to be like a person in the world. And so I kind of like fallen out of that game a little bit. I started Fallout 3. I got decently far into Fallout 3. I guess I have another question regarding this, so I'll save discussing that for later. But I want to go back and do playthroughs of older games. I've had this set up for a while. In fact, I'm going to open it here on my second monitor. You guys can't see it, obviously. There's just COD footage in the background. But I want to do a Pokemon Red randomizer, because Gen 1's always my favorite gen. I mean, I could do, like, you know, Fire Red or Leaf Green, but Gen 1 Pokemon's always my favorite. And I want to do a Gen 1 Pokemon Red Nuzlocke randomizer. I think that would be a lot of fun, and I'll probably do a Let's Play on that. I just don't know when I'm going to do a Let's Play on that. I do want to do something with my second channel. I don't like it just sitting there doing nothing. But when it comes to, like, you know, this being my job and everything, I kind of have to, like, prioritize. Like, okay, well, I can't just, you know, dedicate, you know, 8 hours a day to a second channel just for funsies. You know, I need to, like, focus on my main channel because that's how I pay my bills and stuff like that. That's where the majority of people want to see me anyway. So I don't know. If I find the time, I'll do that. I'll do that series because I want to do it. I think it'd be fun. It's just finding the time to properly do it. I mean, I guess I could do it at night, but I like hanging out with my buddies at night. We all play Hearthstone together and stuff. It's a lot of fun. But eventually there will be something on the second channel, I guess, is the answer to this, you know, long roundabout answer that I have. But yeah, something will eventually come on the second channel. The next question is going to be coming in from M. Cox, who writes, Dear Nero, will you ever bring back the Madden series on your second channel? Joe Nero needs a comeback season. So with the new Madden, you could pay like $5 to get like 10 hours of the game early, like a couple days before it came out. And I played for like an hour, and I've decided that Madden sucks, and I'm just not buying it. We're a couple weeks into the NFL season here, and typically it's watching football that makes me want to buy Madden and make a franchise and do all that. But I literally made a franchise during that little demo I had, and I tried doing the My Player thing, and I hate the whole story thing in My Player now. It's just garbage. And the franchise mode is literally the same. I mean, they changed a couple of things, but it's virtually the same. It's just bad. People argue about COD being the same game every year. Madden is literally the same game every year. You're paying for a roster update, and believe me, I've bought every Madden since like 2003. I understand what it's like, but this year I don't think I'm buying Madden. It's the same game. If I were to do it, it'd be a brand new series. It'd be the same series I did for Madden 16 and Madden 18 and all those games, except it'd have a new roster, maybe slightly better graphics. That's it. I don't know. I've fallen out of love with Madden. Maybe if they actually decide to, like, you know, make the game good, maybe then I'll do it. I'll probably do something if they do the NCAA football game once that eventually comes out, because that'll be fun to have a college game for the first time since, God, how long has it been? It's been forever. So that'll be fun. I'll probably do a series on that. But when it comes to Madden, no current plans. The next question is going to be coming in from RJ Tyrell, who writes, Dear Nero, do you currently play any MMOs? If so, which ones and how long have you played? I personally play WoW and Final Fantasy XIV. I've been playing WoW for roughly 12 years. Would love to possibly play with you. So I'm not currently playing any MMOs. I may sign into WoW and just do some random stuff, but Shadowlands sucks. Shadowlands is an awful expansion. I mean, I get that they're like finally, after the whole lawsuit thing, that they're finally like making the game like how it should have been at launch. but it's too little too late. I don't care about like being a ghost in the afterlife and like all this stuff. It just isn't good. Legion was like peak like modern WoW for me. I mean, I've leveled up a couple of characters in Shadowlands. I've leveled up my rogue and my paladin and my warlock, but I just don't care to actually play and like raid or do anything like that. I did play classic WoW. I got to 60 in classic, then I got to 70 in Burning Crusade on my paladin. But after playing so much retail WoW over the years and then going to Burning Crusade classic, it's boring. It's painfully easy. And anyone that's played it will say it's painfully easy, especially as a healer. Literally, I have 2 spells that I cast as a Holy Paladin. It's Flash of Light or Holy Light, and then I drink every couple pulls, and then I'm done. Like, that's pretty much it. It's like mind-numbing. Like, I'm like falling asleep at my desk in the middle of the day doing dungeons in that game. Like, I'm sure raiding would be more fun, but it might just be that healing itself is just boring, and because I wanted to play a Paladin, because that's my favorite class in the game, in current, that maybe I set myself up for failure by playing a class that's kind of just known for only healing. I mean, you could play Ret a little bit, but it's boring. it's mind-numbingly boring pressing 2 buttons over and over and over. So I got to 70, did some end game stuff in Burning Crusade Classic, and then I'm just like, also my server died. I was on Alliance Harad, which is now 100% Horde, and I was an Alliance Paladin. So I had to transfer servers, and then that was a waste of money because within a week of transferring servers, I felt like I lost the identity that my character had, and I just stopped playing. So kind of a sad story there. Next question is going to be coming in from Infinity, who writes, Dear Nero, what single-player games have you enjoyed / recommend that you have played recently? Mine is Chernobylite. I haven't heard of Chernobylite. Recently, so every night, my buddies and I, if you follow like me or Nate or anyone like that on stream, like we play Hearthstone Battlegrounds together virtually every night. We've gotten back into Borderlands 3, which is fun. It turns out if you go farm the Claptrap boss, you can get the max level pretty quickly. And so we did that and then started doing the raids, and that's been fun. Not that that's necessarily a single-player game, but a full single-player game that I started playing. I started playing Fallout 3. I got decently far into that game. I still have yet to beat it, but I also decided to go back into Diablo 3 because I see all these people playing Diablo 2 Remastered. I just didn't want to drop $40 on a game that I'm not sure if I'm going to like. I watched lots of streams of it, and it's fun to watch it and stuff like that, but I'm like, $40, money's tight, this kind of thing, trying to like rebuild my life over here, so let's not drop $40 on something that I may not even enjoy or anything. And so I already had Diablo 3 though, because my brother convinced me to get it a long time ago, and we always just did like the power leveling, like the rifts or whatever they're called. And I never actually played the story. So just in my off time and stuff, I'd just been like playing through Diablo 3 as a Crusader, which is similar to a Paladin in WoW. And I've been enjoying that. It's been fun. I just beat the main story. I just beat Act 4. No spoilers if you guys haven't played the game. But I just beat Act 4, which is like the base game of Diablo 3. I beat that whole thing. And now I'm starting Act 5, which is technically just the Reaper of Souls DLC. I just started that. And so, yeah, that's actually been fun. I will say it sucks that when you first start playing the game, you can't up the difficulty. Because the highest difficulty I had access to was Expert. And that's not hard. Expert's not hard at all. I need to go up like 2 or 3 more difficulties to make the... Like, Diablo 3, it was fun to see the story. The gameplay itself is fun. But let me tell you, I beat the entire game. My first time like actually playing through the whole game. I can count on one hand the amount of times my health bar went to half. It was that easy. I didn't die. I had 0 deaths. There should be an achievement for that. I had 0 deaths the entire way through the game on Expert, which I guess Expert's not meant to be hard, but it's the highest difficulty you have until you beat the original story, which is annoying. They should make it so you can choose to have a higher difficulty because Expert was not hard. It got to the point where halfway through the game, instead of like stopping and killing all these white rarity monsters and stuff, I just ran through them because I was already over leveled because you get more XP for playing on Expert. I was already over leveled. I was basically 2-shotting everything in the entire game, including bosses. So instead of like stopping and like fighting and stuff, I just ran through all these levels that you had to go through, and I'd listen to the story and I'd talk to the NPCs. But in general, I didn't actually kill anything towards the end. I just ran through, and like the entire like final act, I beat in like half an hour or maybe even less. I just like went straight through it. But yeah, it actually is fun, and I'm excited because my brother and Nate and maybe James and all that, we're gonna be doing seasonal characters, I think, on Diablo 3. So that should be fun. The next question is going to be coming in from Kelza, who writes, Dear Nero, what is the perfect time to kill for Call of Duty multiplayer? Sounds crazy. I think Black Ops Cold War. I think Cold War might have the perfect time to kill. I would argue that I think Black Ops 4 has a very good time to kill. I love the Black Ops 4 time to kill because when I died, typically it was my fault. They, did something to beat me. They had better aim, they shot first, they didn't miss. Like, they won the gunfight typically, which is why, in that game I have like a 2.5 KD. And it's because sounds so douchey. I'm a pretty good COD player. I'd be sad if I wasn't. I've been playing for nearly 15 years. And as a result, like, I win my gunfights, or at least a lot of them. I'm pretty good at gunfights, but if you have a game like Modern Warfare or Vanguard, it's not so much about the gunfight as much as it is positioning and how OP your gun is. Like, is your gun kill in a couple frames sooner? Because that's important in a game where the time to kill is faster than like a sneeze. It's kind of ridiculous. So I'd say Cold War is kind of a nice in-between of Modern Warfare's time to kill and the Black Ops 4 time to kill. And so I think for everyone in general, that's probably the best time to kill for COD. But I will say, I really enjoy that super slow time to kill that we had in Black Ops 4 because, again, you had to really actually win your gunfights. Like, it felt pretty good. Like, when guns on average are taking like 4 to 6 shots to kill, I liked that. That felt good. And yeah, but overall for everyone, I would say Cold War is probably the best time to kill for like the entire Call of Duty player base. The next question is going to be coming in from Candon, who writes, Dear Nero, do you ever see World at War getting remastered? I know it would most likely be censored, but I would love to play that game in its prime again. CeeLo deserves it. Thank you, Camden. CeeLo, best map ever. Do I see the game ever getting remastered? No, I really don't. I think if they're ever going to make more World War II games, they're going to do what they did with Sledgehammer and make them make Call of Duty World War II or Call of Duty Vanguard. I don't see them ever remastering World at War. World at War, even back during its time, like after a couple months of when the game came out, World at War was tied with COD 4 for like most played games on Xbox. Major Nelson back in the day used to release like who was playing the most games and whatnot, and every month it would be like World at War #1, COD 4 #2. Then the next month would be COD 4 #1, World at War #2. It's basically just those two games fighting back and forth. So they had roughly the same amount of people playing even during the World at War life cycle, right? That's how popular COD 4 was. So what we can extract from that is that World at War, even during its prime, was not that popular of a game. And as a result, I feel as though when they remaster games, they're not going to pick a game that wasn't even that popular during its prime, especially a game that had a number of issues, tanks, only 4 submachine guns, only 2 shotguns. If they were to remaster it, they would probably go the Modern Warfare remastered route, and they would probably add a bunch of weapons, which could be interesting. But at that point, if the game's got 10 SMGs and only 4 of them were actually in the base game, is it even World at War remastered at that point? It's one of those games I feel as though is going to be left in the past, and I think that's an okay thing. I think it's okay to have the memories of the game. It does suck that you basically can't play it anymore, but it is nice that every now and then we get a remaster of a map from back then, or we get a game like Vanguard that has guns that were featured in that game, because you get to have that little bit of nostalgia every time you use the Tommy gun, or even in a game like Cold War, when you use the PPSH, you get a little bit of that nostalgia for the old World at War days. But in general, I don't see it ever being remastered. I think the next remastered multiplayer, obviously, will be Modern Warfare 2. Then after that, they'll probably do Black Ops 2. I just think we're never going to see... Of all the games in COD's history, which have been so many, there's many more games they would remaster ahead of a game like Call of Duty World at War. So I don't see it ever happening, unfortunately. The next question is going to be coming in from Agulk, I think I pronounced that correctly, who writes, Dear Nero, do you think that Black Ops Cold War had the potential to be one of the greatest COD games if it didn't have strict skill-based matchmaking? Yeah, for sure. 100%. I think if skill-based matchmaking was not as strict in this game as it is, if they had the same skill-based matchmaking that we had like Black Ops 4, where it was basically just like skill-based team balancing, which has always kind of been there, then the game would have been fantastic. Then on top of that, if they would have fixed the snipers by giving them faster aim down sight speed, but adding a lot of flinch, and then actually added progression paths outside of just dark matter, and actually fixing dark matter, like if 100%er were actually in the game and there were more ways to go about things. Like, remember back in Black Ops 4, towards the end of the game's life cycle, they updated the game so that you could exchange your supply drops for DLC weapons, and you could also exchange your supply drops for blackout character skins. That was really cool. What if we had a similar system where for doing daily contracts and weekly contracts and doing all sorts of these events and stuff like that we could get a form of currency in the game by playing the game, and then spend that currency in the shop on the really cool shit that's in the shop that costs $20 or $30. That would be awesome, because there's so much cool stuff in the shop 0% of it is earnable. There's some stuff on the Battle Pass, sure, but the Battle Pass stuff pales in comparison to the stuff in the shop. So once you get Dark Matter, there's nothing to play for in the game. What are you going to do? Go for 100%er? There's literally no reward. I mean, you can do it just to say you did it, but who cares? Like, saying you did it doesn't matter, right? Like, I could say I did anything. You want to have something to show for it, to prove to the other people in your game that you did this certain thing. That's like online gaming 101. It goes back to like World of Warcraft back in 2004, where if you got your full tier 1 set, you looked like a god walking through Stormwind or Orgrimmar. Or I guess back then it'd be Ironforge. Like, I don't know. It's gaming 101, and I think the reason why stuff like that doesn't exist is, like I talked about previously, in my heart of hearts, and I'm trying to turn over a new leaf, not be as toxic, not be as negative, but I truly believe that most people that work on COD do not play it frequently outside of the office. I think they play a little bit for their internal testing, and other than that, they just do it as a job. I don't think they actually play the game, and therefore that's why a lot of the problems exist. And I also think that these people don't care about progression paths or keeping players invested outside of things like the Battle Pass, because who cares? A new COD's coming out. As long as the game sells well and they get their bonuses when it first comes out, that's all that really matters. How well it does, from January to October doesn't really matter, so long as it sells well in the fourth quarter when it initially releases, and that's when the shareholders see all the things, that's when they get their bonuses, and, that kind of thing. So that's why I think Cold War it could have been one of the greatest CODs ever. I talked about that before. The setting is awesome. The 80s, the retro, the neon, the implementation of the World War II weapons and the Vietnam weapons and the characters like Hudson and Woods, and it could have been so good. But it was, I don't know. It's a game where I think we're going to look back for a long time and just think of what if. The next question is going to be coming in from Hassan, who writes, Dear Nero, do you think that Call of Duty would be in a better place had Zampella and West not left Infinity Ward? That's an interesting question. I mean, obviously, we don't know. We have to speculate. But I would speculate that if Vince Zampella and Jason West did not go form Respawn Entertainment, that Call of Duty would be in a better place. For one, Apex Legends wouldn't exist. Titanfall would never have existed. And all the cool creative ideas that went into those games would have been part of the Call of Duty franchise. So that probably would have been cool. Like, where would Warzone be if all the people from Apex were working on Warzone instead of Apex, And the people that made Call of Duty 4 and Modern Warfare 2, I imagine Modern Warfare 3 would have been a lot different. I imagine Call of Duty Ghosts probably wouldn't have happened. I imagine that Modern Warfare 4 probably would have taken its place. So it'd be interesting. That's a very interesting question. Obviously, again, we have no idea, but I'm just going to go ahead and just with no actual evidence say, yes, the Call of Duty franchise would be better had the literal people who made the franchise to begin with, if they were still around, because I'm like this old hat when it comes to COD now. I'm always comparing the current COD to like what it was back in the glory days, and Vince Zampella and Jason West were at the top of their game back during the Call of Duty glory days. The next and final question, this is a pretty long episode, is going to be coming in from Victor, who writes, Dear Nero, and I get this question a lot, so I figured it'd be a good question to answer and address here. Are you thinking of getting a PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, or Nintendo Switch OLED? No, I'm not. People think I play on Xbox because there's an Xbox controller, but I play on PC. I play on PC with an Xbox controller plugged in. The reason why I don't play keyboard and mouse, I play keyboard and mouse for literally every game besides COD, and that's because I have like 15 years of muscle memory on COD. Like, I've been playing PC only for years now, but the only reason why I had like an Xbox X was because of Call of Duty. If you bought the game on PC, it died instantly, pretty much, right? So if you wanted to play COD the entire year, you had to play on console. Well, that all changed with Modern Warfare 2019 when cross-platform finally became a thing, and so as a result, I upgraded my PC, and now I play PC exclusively. I only turn on my consoles to either play like an alpha or a beta, like with Vanguard, or if I need to go back and record like specific old footage of an old game, like I did in my last video with Call of Duty World at War. Other than that, I don't play console in any way. Not that I'm against console or anything. It's just for what I do, PC, and just having everything be right here in one workstation is fantastic. Like, all my work stuff is here. All my play stuff is here. It's pretty nice. I do have a Nintendo Switch. I just don't play it that often. I'm not going to get the new one because it's just a slightly fancier screen, and I barely play my own Switch as is. And yeah, with me having a PC, and I mean, there are some exclusives for PlayStation that are only on PlayStation, but I mean, I've lived this long without playing any PlayStation exclusives. I can probably just, continue on existing. So there's no reason to get a PS5, and there's really no reason to get a Series X. Maybe in the future, if I wanted to do some couch co-op with Courtney or something, but like, I don't know. I just don't see a reason to ever, get a new console. I have enough Xbox X's, or Xbox Ones rather. I have an Xbox One X, I think it's called. That's the one I have here in the office. And then I have 2 Xbox Ones. One is down in the living room, and the other one's in my bedroom, and they're basically Netflix players. So yeah, that's basically the extent of what I have for consoles. Obviously, I have that old school PS4 as well, but I have no real reason to get a new console. I have no real plans to get a new console, just because PC works for me, and it's not true of everyone, but it's definitely true of me. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. That is the newest episode of Dear Nero. I hope you guys all enjoyed. Hopefully it made for some nice background noise while you were gaming or driving to work or while you're actually at work or wherever it is you listen to the video from. I hope you guys all enjoyed it and found it fun. The gameplay was nothing fancy. It was just some random Cold War footage that I had on my PC. Yeah, hopefully you guys all enjoyed it. Expect this series to go up every single Wednesday. Once again, I'm going to be asking for questions pretty much every Tuesday on Twitter. It's @NeroCinema if you guys want to follow me over there. And yeah, so it was a fun time. I hope you guys all found this entertaining, and hopefully you guys had fun with it. If you did, consider leaving the video a like. Thank you all so much for listening, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.